Have you ever had the feeling that someone was living inside your house, without you knowing? I never believed stories like that. Until it happened to me. A few years ago, my wife and I rented a quiet house for a 2-week work trip. It sat at the end of a lonely road, surrounded by tall trees. No neighbors. No traffic. Just silence. At first, it felt perfect. Too perfect. The first night passed without a problem. But on the second night, everything changed. Around 2 in the morning, my wife suddenly grabbed my arm. She wasn't shaking, she was frozen. There's someone in this house. I listened carefully. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. Just complete silence. I checked every room. Every window. Every door. Everything was locked. I smiled and told her it was just an old house making noises. She tried to believe me. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. The next morning, while I was getting ready for work, she refused to go near the basement. She said every time she walked past its door, she felt someone staring at her. Not imagining it, actually watching her. I laughed it off. But later that afternoon, I noticed something strange. The basement door was slightly open. I clearly remembered locking it before leaving. Maybe I forgot. Or, maybe someone else opened it. I closed it again and didn't think much about it. That night, the noises came back. A slow scrape. Then another. Then, a heavy thud. Directly beneath our bedroom. This time, even I couldn't ignore it. I grabbed a flashlight and an old baseball bat from the garage. Every step toward the basement felt heavier than the last. The wooden stairs creaked beneath my feet. The air smelled damp, like someone had been breathing down there for a long time. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness. Nothing. Just old furniture. Broken boxes. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. One storage room door was moving. Very slowly. As if someone had just pushed it. I stopped breathing. The room went completely silent. I stepped closer. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. 3, 2, 1, I pulled it open. At first, nothing. Then my flashlight landed on a pair of dirty boots. Someone was standing behind the shelves. Completely still. Watching me. The man slowly stepped into the light. He looked filthy. His beard was overgrown, his clothes were covered in dust. And on his head, a faded red cap. He didn't run. He didn't speak. He simply smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. It was the kind of smile that makes your blood run cold. Every instinct in my body screamed, "Run." I slammed the door shut, locked it from the outside, grabbed my wife, and called 911. The next 10 minutes felt like forever. When the police arrived, they searched the basement immediately. But the man was gone. There was no sign of him. Until an officer looked behind the shelves. Hidden in the darkness was a sleeping bag. Empty food cans. Water bottles. A flashlight. Fresh cigarette butts. And piles of dirty clothes. The officer looked at me with a serious face. He wasn't visiting. He was living here. For how long? They couldn't tell. Days? Weeks? Maybe even months. Then another officer found something even worse. Tiny holes drilled through the basement ceiling, perfectly lined up beneath our bedroom. Someone had been watching us, while we slept. We packed our bags that same night. We never spent another minute in that house. The police never found the man. No fingerprints. No name. No trace. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I still wonder, how many nights was he standing only a few feet away, silently watching us, before we finally noticed. You never expect to be hunted, on vacation. My girlfriend and I had saved money for almost a year to visit a beautiful beach resort in Costa Rica. It looked like paradise. Blue water. Palm trees. Luxury rooms. Friendly staff. It felt like the perfect escape. At least, that's what we believed. On our second evening, we were relaxing in the hot tub. The resort was almost empty. The only sounds were the waves, and the wind. Then my girlfriend suddenly froze. She quietly whispered, "Don't turn around." My heart instantly started pounding. What? I think someone is watching us. I slowly looked toward the trees. Nothing. Just darkness. I laughed it off. It's probably another guest. But she couldn't shake the feeling. She kept looking over her shoulder. Like she knew, someone was there. The next morning, we found wet footprints outside our room. The strange part? It hadn't rained. The footprints stopped right below our bedroom window. Someone had been standing there, for a long time. That night, things got worse. We were walking back from dinner when I noticed a man standing near the edge of the beach. He wasn't swimming. He wasn't talking. He was just staring at us, completely motionless. As soon as I looked directly at him, he turned, and disappeared into the darkness. I told myself I was imagining things. But deep down, something didn't feel right. The following afternoon, my girlfriend wanted to relax by the pool. A few minutes later, she grabbed my arm. "He's here." I looked across the resort. The same man. Same clothes. Same expression. Watching us from behind a row of palm trees. The moment I started walking toward him, he walked away without saying a word. That night, we reported everything to resort security. At first, they thought it was just a misunderstanding. Until they checked the security cameras. The footage made everyone silent. There he was. Walking around our room after midnight. Looking through our windows. Following us around the resort. Even hiding behind trees while secretly taking photos of us. The security manager immediately called the police. Officers searched the property. But the man was gone. No luggage. No reservation. No record that he had ever checked into the resort. It was as if he had never existed. The next morning, resort staff moved us to another building and increased security. We left Costa Rica 2 days early. Months later, I was deleting old vacation photos. Then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. In one picture, far behind us, standing between the palm trees, was the same man. Smiling. The photo was taken on our very first day. Which means, he had been following us from the moment we arrived. And to this day, we still don't know who he was, or why he chose us. Some roads don't lead home, they lead straight into a trap. I never thought a 5-minute shortcut could almost cost me my life. It happened on a cold autumn night in rural Pennsylvania. The highway was packed, so my GPS suggested a quiet back road. It promised to save 10 minutes. That was the biggest mistake I ever made. The road was empty. No houses. No streetlights. Just endless trees swallowing the darkness. For nearly 20 minutes, I didn't pass a single car. Then, a deer suddenly jumped across the road. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded across wet gravel, and crashed into a ditch. The engine died instantly. My phone showed no signal. I sat there in silence. Then, a pair of headlights slowly appeared behind me. Relief flooded through my body. An old pickup truck stopped beside my car. An elderly couple stepped out. The man smiled. "You all right, son?" They looked harmless. The woman even offered me a blanket. For a moment, I thought my nightmare was over. The old man said, "We've got chains and tools in the back of the truck. Come help me grab them." Something about his voice felt off. Still, I followed him. As we walked toward the back of the truck, I noticed a large blue tarp covering something. The old man stopped. He smiled. Then quietly said, "Lift that corner." I reached for it. But something caught my eye. Under the tarp, I saw a dirty boot. Then, a hand. Someone was hiding underneath. And in that hand, was a hunting knife. My heart nearly stopped. At that exact second, the person under the tarp started moving. I didn't wait another second. I turned around and ran. Behind me, I heard shouting. Then heavy footsteps. The old couple wasn't yelling for help anymore. They were chasing me. Branches whipped across my face as I sprinted into the forest. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew, if they caught me, I wasn't coming home. After what felt like forever, I spotted flashing blue lights. A police cruiser. I ran into the road, screaming for help. The officers immediately stopped. Within minutes, they searched the area. But the pickup truck had vanished. Like it had never been there. The next day, police found tire tracks, footprints, and signs that several vehicles had stopped in that exact location before. One officer looked at me and quietly said, "You were lucky. We've had missing person reports from this road before." I never found out who those people were. Or how many others weren't as lucky. But one thing still haunts me: if I had lifted that tarp just 1 second sooner, I probably wouldn't be here telling this story today.